Good morning or afternoon, everyone. I'm Luke Johnson, Technical Product Manager for the Trimble Access Field Software.
And I'm Rob Coote, Trimble Access Product Manager.
And today we're going to run through some of the new things we've added to the most recent release of Trimble Access, version 2023.
All right, first let's talk about Trimble Maps. So we have added Trimble Maps support. So you can turn them on by tapping on the Layers button, and on the Map Files tab, if you look to the bottom, you'll see a Trimble Maps button. Now on the left-hand side, you'll see a little animation showing how this works. When you click on the Trimble Maps button, you'll see three options there. So you can look at satellite imagery. So you've got recent imagery, good resolution, really good for helping improve context and locating marks. You can look at street maps, so you can see your conventional road maps, so that can be really valuable in working out which way the roads go, which ones are dead-end roads, and how to get from one location to another location. And you've got terrain view, so you look at the topographical contour lines. They are overlaid on the map to show you 3D elevations of natural geographic features. One small thing to be aware of, the job must have a defined projection and datum. So you do need that. We need to be able to get from just WS8040 to your local coordinates. And also you need to have a current Trimble Access software maintenance agreement or subscription licenses to have access to Trimble Maps. So if your software maintenance is expired, then Trimble Maps will stop working.
And you must be online. You need to be on the internet to be able to pull down those map tiles that we're showing you.
Yep, that's pretty much it. There is a little bit of caching going on, but only a small amount of caching. So we will reuse them for your location for a little bit, but as you move off, then you'll need to be online to download and get more maps.
So the next thing we're going to talk about are some of the improvements we've made around the layer manager. So linking files and bringing them into the Trimble Access map. So the first thing you might notice is that button when we're in the layer manager. There used to be a button, a soft key there that said browse. We've changed that to add because the workflow that you're doing is actually adding files to your layer manager here. So now when you tap add, you get this lovely new file browser. So it looks a lot like what you might be used to on Windows. You've got on the left that toolbar there with some of the most common browse places. So we've got your C drive there, your projects folder, in your downloads folder. And you can just navigate through those folders just by tapping the folder in the file browser. So here I'm going into users, my user, and to my desktop. So you can navigate through those folders. To go backwards along a folder, you can tap along the top, there's that breadcrumb trail of folders. You can tap the folder behind to jump backwards to the previous folder. Another really nice feature here is you can tap and hold any folder and pin it to that toolbar on the left there, that window on the left. So that means if you're using a folder regularly for design files, let's say you're downloading your design files from your emails perhaps, and you're putting them into a certain file on the desktop, you can pin that file. Or if you've got a file synced with Google Drive or OneDrive, you can pin that folder so you can easily get to it every time you're in the layer manager. We've made it even easier to pull design files off a USB stick. Now, when you plug your USB stick in, you can see a USB drive appears on that sidebar. So that happens straight away. The same thing will happen if it's if you've got an SD card in the back of your controller. So when that USB stick is selected and you choose a file from it, it will automatically copy that design file across from the USB stick to your local projects folder. So you don't have to go into the file browser and drag and drop it across into the right location. You can just open it directly from the USB stick and we'll copy it to your project folder. That only happens with USB sticks. On SD cards, we don't copy it across because we're assuming the SD card is in your device. And we've also made it even easier to get design files down from the cloud. So you can see Trimble Connect there, it's on that sidebar. We can then browse through the cloud directly to those files and download them and bring them into our map straight away. So that was some of the things about Layer Manager. Next, we're going to start looking at some of the tools we've put in to make it easier to work with big data sets. A lot of companies are now working with BIM files or even just large DXF files, point clouds, all that sort of big data. We've added a few tools in there to help you work with that a little bit better. So one of my favorite things is the way we've changed the pan and the select tool. So if we just wait for the video to go back, we used to have the little select button and the pan, the hand. So that used to, when you were in select mode, you could drag a box or you could tap individual points. And then in the pan mode, all you could do was drag. Now we've got a select button that pans and lets you tap points. So this is going to hopefully help a lot of you who may have intended to tap some points on the screen and instead you pan across and you lose your view. Now we've kind of copied what more common CAD programs are doing and giving you sort of a combination of both.
Don't forget that if you ever accidentally pan or zoom, you can do Control-Z to undo that one move in the map, and that's quite useful when you make a little mistake.
Yep. We've also, now to get to your rectangle select, there's a rectangle select button. You can tap that. You can, in this mode, you can tap points. It's kind of like the old select mode. You can tap points and drag select as well. There we go. And we've also added in a polygon select mode. So now you can toggle that rectangle select mode. So when the rectangle select mode is active and it's yellow, tap it again and it will turn to the polygon select mode. And with polygon select, you can just tap around the data that you want to select to create a polygon for selection. If you accidentally go too far and you want to undo it, a selection, you can see a little polygon toolbar has opened up and you can tap the undo button to remove that last node you added to the polygon. And once you're ready for selection and ready to confirm that, you can tap the little polygon confirm selection button and that will select everything in and touching that polygon. We also have a, nope, I'm not sure what's happening there, a remove polygon clear selection button, which if you've decided to make it to do something else, you can clear your selection. So for those of you who are working with IFC files or BIM files, we've added in a new toolbar in the Layer Manager that will help control the visibility of what you see. So this toolbar is only available when you have auto update turned on and when you have a BIM file in the map files tab. So you can see that toolbar there, and there's a couple of buttons there. The top one we're showing there is the hide button. So as you select your BIM elements, you can tap that hide button to just remove them from the map. So it turns their visibility off. It then gives you a lot more control to zoom in and focus on what you're really interested in. We've also got an isolate button, so a show only button that lets you select an element that you might only be interested in and remove everything else. Again, if you make some mistakes, let's say you hit the wrong staircase and you needed to hide another one, we've got a couple of undo options. That top undo option undoes just the last action you did. So let's say I hit the wrong thing and I need to show it again, I can undo that. And then the bottom undo is a undo all filtering. So it removes all the filtering that you've done up to that point. One of my favorite things about this toolbar is it gives you a lot of control in seeing what layers things are on. So if I want to remove everything of a layer or isolate everything in a layer, let's say a columns layer, or in this case, a walls layer, I can hide one thing from that, one thing that I can hide one element that I want to hide, and then because it interacts with that layer manager, the map files, you can see when you hide it, what layer that element was on. And then you can go and hide the entire layer. So it's a really, it's a good way to use some of the interactions between the layer manager and this new show hide toolbar.
Means you don't need to go to review. It means you don't need to select an element in the map, go to review, scroll down, find out what layer it's on, to then go into the tree view to hide that layer. You can actually tap on it, hide it, you'll see the status change, and then you can just switch it all off. So yeah, streamlines things a bit.
It's really useful if you don't have nicely named layers like that there. Some of them don't make much sense. We've also sort of collated some of our transparency settings. So previously, we used to have our BIM model transparency under map settings, and our image transparency was sometimes in different locations, sometimes on the web map service page. So now we've collated that into a transparency form. You can get to that under the ellipsis menu on the map toolbar. Here you can slide the transparency of all your background, of all your imagery. So that's Trimble maps, web map services, JPEGs, PNGs, and TIFFs. You've also got control of the BIM model transparency. So here you can change between what sort of display you want to show, solid, wireframe, or both. And you have control of the transparency of that model. So that's a form that you can also favorite or function if you're changing that stuff often.
When you slide the slider all the way to the left, we're not going to complete transparency. We're going down to about 10%. What we don't want you to do is hide it via transparency and then later on forget you've done that and not understand how you can switch it back on. So yeah, it doesn't go all the way down. So if you want to hide something completely, go into the layers and switch it off there.
We've also added a new option in our surface inspection color scale, which is transparent. So what this lets you do is it lets you set a certain range to be invisible in the map. So here you can see there's that transparent option in the color bar. So I'm going to set the top, anything outside, in this case, of 20 mils is going to be transparent. And you can see here the difference that it makes in your surface inspections. On the left, that's how it was before, where everything outside of that tolerance went red and it kind of clutters up the map. It doesn't look that pretty. You don't really want to export that as a report. On the right, you can see everything outside of 20 mil has disappeared. It's transparent. So you can really focus on what's important. It's not, covered by red. It makes it tidier. It also removes all of the obstructions that were on the road. So in the left, you can see there's a few red things on the road surface. There are cars going past and cyclists and people walking. With the one on the right, all those obstructions have been removed. We've also made some changes to stationing. So some of these things have been there previously. We're just trying to make it a little bit more obvious to find them. So in both stake polyline and stake roads, next to the station field, we've changed the icon from a little arrow to a little stationing icon. And this will take you to, if you click that, it will take you to the select station screen. So on the screen, you can, on the left there, choose what station you want just from the list. But on the right, there's a whole range of settings that some of these are new, some of these are old, but we've collated them together to make it really easy to find them. So first at the top there, you can set your station interval for lines and arcs. That can be useful if you want, more dense stationing around a curve or an arc and longer stations on straight lines. We've added in the method for stationing. Now this defines how your stations start and how they continue. On this next slide here, I go into a little bit more detail. So with the zero based, even if the road or polyline, the stationing starts at station 25, the stations are going to be defined zero based. So we're going to be putting stations, Trimble Access will be taking you to stations at 30, 40, 50. So as if the stationing started at 0. Relative means that the stationing will start and it'll be determined by whatever the start station of the line is. So in this case, the start station is 25. So the stationing is going to be 35, 45, 55. Building on from that, we've added in a new feature called auto increment. Now, what this will do is it'll automatically take you to start. Once you've measured your current station, it will automatically start navigating you to the next station. So rather than having to press plus station or set up a function key for next station or previous station, you can turn on auto increment and have it setting you to stake out the next or the previous station. And down the bottom there, we have available stations. Now, these will determine what stations we will draw on the map and take you to. So we have those first ones, computed sections defined by station interval. Those are the ones that will be done by your station intervals that you write up earlier. Below that, you've got horizontal curves. So all of the points of interest on your horizontal curves, all of the points of interest on your vertical curves. The one below that is template assignment. So if you've defined a road by a template, we can put a station at every one of those templates. And we've got some other points that are relative to super elevationing and widening that you might want to stake out. So you can turn these on and off. Sometimes you might find in your stationing list, there's far too many stations. This is a good place to come in and play with these settings to see if that simplifies your station.
As you change the settings down that right-hand side, you will see the table on the left updated to show you the stations that will actually be displayed in the map and hit when you hit station plus, station minus. So you get that real-time feedback as you're changing controls on the right. You will see that list update on the left. Yeah.
A good example is some road designs, for some reason, have template assignments about every 25 mil. That'll create hundreds and thousands of stations in there. You can come in here and turn them off at that point there in the available stations field.
Cool. All right. I'm going to talk about a few other small improvements we've made. Now, this list we're providing here is not covering absolutely everything we've done. The release notes is the place to go to get everything, but we're covering some of the highlights here. So we've added a check backside auto return. This is something we've never done before. Interestingly enough, we've never really thought to do it. I know customers have asked us to do it until recently. And as soon as those requests came through, we thought, hey, that makes complete sense. Let's do it. So now when you check to your back site, if you've turned to your back site, then after closing the check back site form, we'll automatically turn back to where you were previously. So just one little way to streamline checking your back sites. We've improved our CSV importer, so now you can have configurable delimiters. So you've got options for comma, semicolon, colon, space, and tab. In the previous version, we improved the way we can display symbols in the map. So if you're feature coding and your FXL file defines symbols for all the things you've measured, then those symbols will be displayed in the Trimble Access map. What we hadn't done in that previous release was added the ability to export those symbols into DXF files from Trimble Access. So this is something we've added in this release now. We've improved the WMS and WFS services. So we've added some sign-in ability. We've separated the two a little bit. So previously we would contact the service and find out whether it did WFS or WMS, and then decide from there how to handle that. Now that didn't always work when the service provided both of those options. It would default to one and not necessarily the one you wanted. So now you can define which one you want to use. So yeah, we've made some general improvements now, so they should be working much better. In the previous release, we added support for an underground locator, the RD8100 and other similar models. We did not get time in that previous release to add support for the Vivax MetroTech VLOC series, so we have now added support for those. You want to talk about this one?
I can. In roads, we've added a new stake to polylines method. So it looks slightly different to some of our other stakeout methods. You can see there's two different halves of that stakeout form. So what you're doing here is staking out essentially a point relative to two polylines. And you've got the deltas to both those polylines at the same time. In our tunnels application, we now have a stake alignment option. So you can stake to the alignment or a station on the alignment. This can be really useful for setting out elements along the edge of a tunnel wall, like an electrical pipe or water pipes running along the side of the wall. You can set a station and you can set your construction offsets to offset that point to the correct, that alignment, that line to the right position. You can also see in that picture, we now show the TXLs, the tunnel designs in the video. So you can see the tunnel alongside and overlaid on your SX12 camera. Now there are quite a few other things we've added to Trimble Access. You really want to go and check out the release notes, and you can find them on the Trimble Access help portal.
I can talk about this. So the Trimble Access help portal, we've had this for a while. We've just done a bit of a revamp to make it provide easier access to everything. So so on the right-hand side, I've got a screen snap of the help portal there. So let me just talk a little bit about it. So at the top, along the very top, you've got tabs that take you to sections of the help. Directly below that, you've got a search field, so you can type search into that and it will search the help content for you. Moving on down, you can see sections covering new or updated topics. We've got links to PDF guides. Moving further down, you can see that 2023 has been released and we have a link there to the release notes and videos. A little bit of information about the releases there as well. And then moving further down, we've got some links to more videos. So some of the highlights and additional resources down the bottom. So this is the place that you can access all the help content. This is the same help content that is installed on the controller, exactly the same content. And we've got PDF guides. We've also got links to support and download. So there's a wealth of information in here and it's really easy to use. The help is easy to copy and paste from. You can print from it. So yeah, really, really powerful, really, really useful.
One other thing to just mention there is if you're in Trimble Access, let's say you're on the resections page and you want to know some help about resections. If from within Trimble Access you open the side menu and click help, it will actually take you to the correct place in the help. You know, it's all linked.
It's all context sensitive. So
yeah,
it'll take you to the right section.
So it's a really useful resource, even if you're in the field.
And we also have the Trimble Access and Survey Field Solutions community now. So we've had this for maybe a year. It's slowly been growing in usage. It's a really good place to ask questions and share best practices. It is designed for you to get help from other users. So it's about people collaborating, sharing best experiences, helping people with tricky questions. Every now and again, we will have Trimble experts in there answering questions. Sometimes the guys in support will go in there and answer questions. Sometimes Luke or I will answer questions, or other people on our team will sometimes answer questions if we have to. It's not intended to be the place you go to get support. So if you find a bug or something like that, the best way to get that resolved is go through your distributor who will contact Trimble support. But it's a really good place for peer-to-peer discussions and get help on, you know, how people are doing things and advice and stuff. And the last comment down the bottom there is it's a good place for us to share topics of interest too. So we will share useful information at times that we need to.